All right, wonderful. So why don't we get started? So the objective of today's demo hour is to dive into the floor plan feature. And by the end of the session, you'll be able to create and export your floor plan with ease. So just a bit of background, this feature has been built over the last 6 months with 20 planners. And we are continuously gathering feedback in order to improve this feature for you. So please do make sure to let us know when things are not working as you would expect them or not as easy, because we are here to basically make your life easier. So just ping me a message. I'm always available. Would love to hear your feedback on this. So the two key features of our floor plan is that one, it's synced with your guest list. So whenever anything changes in the RSVP to do with meals or allergies or dietaries, that will automatically be reflected in your floor plan. So you don't need to do any manual changes there. And second, the export is actually very useful. So on the first page of your export, it will summarize total number of tables, total number of chairs, how many adults, how many children, how many meals. And if anyone has said that they have an allergy, a dietary, or other need, that will be highlighted on the first page for you so that it's made very clear front and center for you, the planner, and also for the catering teams. And finally, the meals are color-coded. So that will just make it even easier for the catering to know who should be expecting which meal. So with that, why don't we dive in, and I'm going to share my screen. All right, so you should all be able to see that now. So you'll be familiar with this dashboard. This is where you can see all of your weddings. I'm actually in the process of planning my own wedding in September in Mykonos. So that's my wedding, and Minnie and Mickey are our VIPs, our demo account. So why don't we go into this? So you'll all be familiar with the overview as well. I think it's great just to start off by jumping into the guest list. To show you which information is going to be pulled into the floor plan. So here you can see my list of guests. I have grouped them into households. I've collected everyone's email and phone number. I've also mapped out who is an adult, who is a child. And you can now also see which meal everyone has said that they want for the wedding, and whether anyone has said they have allergies or dietary. So we've got 4 guests here that have some special needs. So let's jump into our floor plan. You can create as many floor plans as you need for the wedding. There's no restriction there. So let's go ahead and create our first floor plan. I'm going to call it demo floor plan. And depending on where you are, you can choose between using metric or imperial, and whether you want the measurements to be shown in millimeters, centimeters, or meters, whether you would like a grid to be displayed on your canvas, and then a clearance area. So a clearance area is basically a border around the tables and chairs to provide some clear space for people to walk through, for example. So you make sure that the chairs aren't back to back, for instance. So I'm happy with that, and I'm going to click through. So a great starting point is to actually upload a PDF or a PNG of your blueprint if you have one from the venue. Of course, you can draw your own floor plan by using shapes. However, the best way is really if you already have an existing blueprint to upload. So I'm going to upload one floor plan and let this person in. All right, so I'm uploading my floor plan. I don't need to crop it. I'm happy for the full floor plan to be uploaded. So I'm going to hit skip. And now you can see that my floor plan has been added into the canvas, and I'm going to drag it to the middle of the canvas. And that's now the floor plan that I have exported. Now, the really neat thing with our platform is that you can actually set this into the correct measurements so that when you start dragging and dropping the furniture into the floor plan, everything is in the right dimension. So we can do that by just measuring one part of the floor plan. So I'm going to hit this button here called Set Scale. That's how we scale the image. And I just need one one thing to measure. So let's say I know this wall is not 411 centimeters. I know this wall is 500 centimeters, for example. So I'm going to type in the measurement of that wall. And I'm going to hit set scale. So that has now successfully updated my image into the correct proportions. I'm going to lock it as well so that it doesn't move around. So the next thing that I would do as the wedding planner is start to think about how I would like my tables to be arranged. So I'm going to click into the furniture tab. So you'll see that we have a range of rectangular tables and circular tables. You can completely adjust the width and the length of those tables, in addition to the way that the seats are allocated around the chairs, around the tables. And we're currently working through adding a couple more funky tables as well. So let us know if there's anything in this library that you feel is missing. So I'm going to start off by dragging in a table here. So I want this table to actually be my top table. So I'm going to call it top table. And you can see that has been reflected here. And I would also like this table not to be 200 in length, but actually 500 in length. So that's now updated the image. And then the last thing that I'm going to want to do with this table is to actually change the way the seats are allocated around it. So I actually don't want any seats on the bottom or on the sides. And I would like to have 5 seats on the top. So that's how I would basically allocate the chairs around the table, is in this module here. Now, the next thing I want to do is to add some more tables for my guests. So I'm going to, again, just adjust the seats. So I'm going to say I want to have 2 seats on the top, 2 seats on the bottom, and I'm happy to basically keep it like that. I'm going to call this a friends table. And I want to replicate the same exact table on the right-hand side. And I can easily do that by copy and pasting this table so that I don't need to recreate it again from scratch. Some funky things that you can do as well is play around with rotating the tables, adjusting the seat sizes, and then, of course, allocating guests into the seats. I'm going to pause there. Does anyone have any questions so far? Feel free to unmute yourself and I'll be able to hear you. No? Okay, no immediate questions. So I will carry on. So let's say I'm happy with this very intimate wedding layout. What I would do next is to ask my couple to start allocating their guests into the seats because they know their guest list the best. And the way you can do that is by clicking on the guests tab. And you can actually see that in my guest list, I have 13 guests, I have 17 seats, and so far I have 0 seated guests. And you can choose to have your guest list filtered either in alphabetical order or by unassigned. I'm going to do unassigned because basically the unassigned guests will always appear on the top. So let's start with allocating the top table 1. All right, so you can see that I've already started to allocate guests here into the top table. If, for instance, I would like to move Goofy Duck from the top table into the Friends table 3, I can very easily do that by dragging and dropping. I can even swap guests around. All right, I'm going to now just finish off going through the rest of my tables. Okay, so I'm happy with the way that my guests are now laid out. The only thing left for me to do is to create a dance floor. So I'm actually going to draw a dance floor with my shapes. And you'll see that actually the dimensions of the shape are measured here. So this dance floor is 630 by 220. I'm happy with that. And I would like to label this as a dance floor. All right. You can, of course, also adjust how big or small you want the text to appear. And I'm now happy with my floor plan. So what I will now do is download the PDF. And I hope that you can still see my screen. What I am now showing is what the export PDF looks like. Shout if not. So the first page of the export is basically my floor plan with my tables and labels and my dance floor, which is great. And then my second page is that summary view that I was talking about earlier. So this is summarizing for us the total number of adults and children, how many seated guests I have, how many tables I have, and how many seats in my floor plan. It's also summing up the total number of meals for me. And remember in the guest list, we had 4 guests that had some special needs. So that's highlighted in the first, on the first page as well. And then scrolling down is going to go through table by table, who was sitting where, what are they eating, and did they say they had any allergy or dietary needs. So Alice in Wonderland is an adult sitting in table 1, seat 1, she's vegetarian and she's allergic to shellfish. Then the second page is basically going to be a zoomed view of that table. And then it's going to carry on to the second table with an image of the second table, followed on the third table with an image of the third table. So that is what the export looks like. And as I mentioned before, whenever a dietary might change in the guest list, that will be automatically reflected here. So that is really the key features of our floor plan. Hopefully that has clarified some questions. I'm going to just go back into the chat to see if there are any questions. So we've got one question from Dana. Does the label for shapes automatically link to a shape, or do you need to group them manually? Just thinking of when layouts inevitably change. So with the labels, you just drag and drop them wherever you want them to appear. So you don't need to link them in any way, just to drag and drop. Does that answer your question? All right. Valentina, I can see you've got your hand raised. So the question is there any chance to view the dimensions automatically on the floor plan? Is there any search auto suggestion feature when allocating the guests to the seats? Scrolling is very time consuming. So on your first question, is there any chance to view the dimensions automatically on the floor plan? When you're in the floor plan, you can see the measurements straight away as you are creating shapes and creating tables, so that will automatically be reflected in the panel. And your search suggestion is a wonderful one and one that we're currently working on. Absolutely, I see this use case where you're just trying to find this guest. You want to be able to type them in, drag and drop them into the seat rather than scrolling through the whole guest list. So thank you for that feedback, and that's something that we're working on. Another question has come through. Can we view color codes for diets on the floor plan? Also a great suggestion. And I assume that what you mean by that is in the export, in the actual visualization of the table and where we've got the labels, being able to show the color coded meal option there. That's a great suggestion too, and one that we're working on as well. Katie has asked, can the floor plan overview show color coding for different dietary requirements? So at the moment, in the notes section, it will just list out what the inputs were from the guest point of view. So it's a free text field, basically, rather than being a drop down that is color coded like the meal options are. However, if that's something that would be helpful for whatever reason, please let me know. Does that answer your question, Katie?
Yeah, sure does. It's just good to get an overview for the caterer to see where the different dietaries are sat in one whole thing rather than table by table.
Oh, I see. So yes, on that second page of the export, it actually does show you a summary of the allergies. Let me share my screen again. Let me know if that's what you're looking for. So we've got here on the second page, total allergies, accessibility, and dietary needs. So everyone that has inputted something there will be shown here.
Okay, yeah, that works.
Awesome. To your point, though, it's not color-coded, and I can see how that would be helpful.
Yeah, I think ideally, especially with caterers that I work with, having like a floor plan where the colours are quite obvious would be handy, even if it's just the meals rather than dietaries, and then dietaries could be just noted separately, because a lot of them are very visual, and the colours is normally what I end up having to do for them, so that would be ideal.
Yes, absolutely. So would you have shellfish as a yellow color, for example, or how would you distinguish that between like an allergy, a dietary need versus a meal type?
I think normally I colour code it with the meal type, and then it's like a star to say that person has an allergy, and then there's a list, because normally it's not that many guests, it's just they need to know kind of where they're sat. So
Okay.
normally I mark it kind of on a big floor plan, just that these people need extra notes looking at.
And do you think that this solves it, given the fact that we've like listed out what that allergy or dietary need
Yeah,
is?
exactly. That's the bit that I think works fine. It's literally just color coordinating. I think the meals on a visual floor plan is probably the only thing that is
Here.
missing. I currently do.
Absolutely, yeah. So imagine having here like that red circle, which indicates chicken, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Nice. Going back into our chat. It would be great to be able to add dimensions of tables and other objects in exported PDF. Valentina, can you clarify what you mean by that question?
Yeah, sure. So basically, when I create plan, and obviously I can see all the dimensions on the menu, my right hand side. But when what would be helpful if when I just export this as a PDF and then forward it to, let's say, manager at the venue, so that they can also see what are dimensions, that I don't have to manually add labels near like every object.
I see. Okay, so would that be on this page, for example, a scale, or
Yeah,
do you also want it table level?
I think it would be enough when I have the whole plan, like the overview, so like the first page. And then, for example, I have dance floor, and there is a label with information that this is the dimension of this. So like it will, that I can add it automatically without having specifically to add label.
Got it. Yeah, that's a great suggestion. That should just be exported automatically.
Sure.
Cool.
And I also just wanted to add that this to be able to have those meals color coded on the overall plan would be very, very helpful. So
Got it.
just
Yeah.
like one more person.
Got it. Got it.
That.
Okay, cool. So on the actual table view and also in the overview.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Noted. Thank you. Any other questions? Doesn't look like it. Who so far has used our floor plan feature, and what's your experience been like so far? Valentina, I think you've started using our floor plan.
I was using, yeah. I'm creating it now for my wedding in May.
Yeah.
And yeah, so basically I like it very much. The most let's say feature I'm missing is now this auto suggestion for guests, because for example I have 195 guests, so for a couple I think it would be really like time consuming to find particular guests, and I was trying to maybe even look for, basically I had to scroll everything so to find the person I need. Yeah, and also like these color codes.
Yeah.
But generally it's very intuitive, so I like very much that basically I also there are those like lines appearing, so I can basically put tables in a row, or like, you know, like play with it. And also it helps me with you know, like really putting the plan in like perfect, let's say, position, every table, etc., etc. So I like it very much. Yeah, I think maybe something else, but not at the moment. I cannot recall it at the moment. What else?
Awesome. Well, thanks for that feedback, Valentina. And I absolutely can't wait to have that search in there for my own wedding as well. Absolutely. And having the color coded on the first page. Absolutely. That would be very helpful.
Yeah.
Sarah, I see your question about, can you highlight where a high chair will be needed? I'm thinking that through. So in our RSVP, we have an accessibility question. So you could also say accessibility / high chair, or even create a completely separate question for high chair where that could be captured, and it would appear in the notes section alongside the primary guest. How would you ideally like this to work? Sarah, are you still with us? Or anyone else that has the use?
If I can suggest, for example, I don't know, having maybe a special, you know, sign like a, you know, like a star or something like that, so that we can just differentiate that this is some, or even to have this like, you know, small note. Yeah, like for example, like a star, that there is some accessibility needs, particularly so that we can see it on the floor plan, and then, for example, we can check in notes that this is high chair or wheelchair or something like that.
So if that appeared here in the notes section, would that be fine?
It would be great to also have some, like a sign on the general floor plan that there is something that I need to check in the notes regarding this this chair, like, or this person.
Okay.
And it's, for example, and it's not regarding meal or anything like that.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Thanks, Valentina. All right. Sarah's just said, I would like to have it on the main floor plan as a different color, so venue will know exactly where to put the high chair. Sorry, can't talk. My little girl has fallen asleep on me. And Denia agrees with the star symbol to highlight more info is in the notes for that guest. So thank you for that suggestion. We'll look to make that work for you. Great. Well, I know everyone's very busy, so I'm not going to take up more of your time. If you have any more questions, now is your time to get them off your chest. I see one has just come through. In the furniture list, you could maybe have a different chair sign. Yeah, that's a great suggestion. Valentina, you have a question?
Yeah. Also, I just recalled, for example, when I have a table with and it's a round table, but I want all chairs to be on one side.
On a round table.
Like, for example, I have a bride and groom table, and I have 6 people, and they're sitting at the round table. So I want, like, to be able to see it on the floor plan that all chairs should be on one side and not around the table. So that also would be nice to have, because like now I just have them all around, and I just put a note that those chairs
one side
should be on one side.
Okay, got it. How often do you have this use case? Is that quite common?
Yeah, actually, to be honest, yeah, quite common. I don't know how the rest of planners, but for me, yeah.
Okay, great. I've taken note of that. Thank you. Joseph is saying, please add oval tables and or tables with D ends. Yeah, absolutely. I'll fight for you to get that over the line, Joseph. So we've got oval tables and tables with D ends. Any other shapes of tables that we're seeing as common that are not in our list at the moment? Or are those the common ones? Rectangular, circular, oval, and D-ended tables. Okay, silence, I'm going to take that as a yes. Sweetheart tables. Katie, is that a table in the shape of a heart?
It's not actually a different shape, but it's just to have the couple, like loads of my couples are just sitting with the two of them, which I'm sure you might be able to do on one of your tables. I just haven't played around with it.
Yes, so I would suggest to upload a rectangular table, and then you can adjust the size of that, or a circular one if they're sitting on a circular one. Yes, the curved and the serpentine tables would be nice as well. I agree. Are those still popular? I feel like that was very in vogue a couple of years ago. Are we still seeing that? I think that's a yes. Okay, cool. I'll take note of serpentine as well. In Barbados. Okay, people know how to party in Barbados. Okay, great. Awesome. Well, thanks everyone for joining. It was a pleasure to have you. I'm also going to share this link with the other planners. Does anyone have any suggestions for what would be good to dive into next week? We've got the RSVP, the guest list. We're also thinking about some future-facing features like a budgeting and the supplier hub. So we can dive into those once we've got the prototypes up as well. Anything else that would be helpful to look into next week? Otherwise, we'll just send around a schedule. Okay, wonderful. Thanks everyone for your time and have a great day. See you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye. Bye. See you soon.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.